Hey everybody, how you doing? Happy Monday evening. Welcome to Snapdown Wrestling. I'm Tommy Lynch. I'm your host, and looking forward to this episode of Snapdown Wrestling. We have Ebed and Steven Jarrel with us tonight. Going to be talking about Iron Faith. Going to be talking about club wrestling. Going to be talking about what's going on, because right now what's going on across the country is wrestling. As we saw last week, Tulsa Nationals. So Oklahoma's going, Ohio, Virginia, Florida. By the way, the Nationals are on Virginia this year. That's going on second week of April. So basically that's happening before our season here in Rhode Island, which makes absolutely no sense. Makes about as much sense of having the World Series before spring training. So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to just, before the season starts, go out to the Nationals and see what we can do. And everybody's just been wrestling since December 2nd, when the season is supposed to start. Winter season across the country started. Some places didn't start here. Fair? Absolutely not. Looked at some of the numbers. There's not any more going on, any spikes within the wrestling community there, and mad outbreaks. As what's going on here. So definitely not fair, but we got Steve and we got Ebed on with us tonight, and we're going to be talking about what we are going to do as far as the season and what's going on with club wrestling in that world and traveling. So let's bring them on. Steven, Ebed, how you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, Tommy? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm doing great. Thanks. How's it going, Ebed?
Doing well.
Great. Now, you guys wrestling for years, wrestled in college. Ebed, you were a two-time state champion. You were a walk-on at Drexel, and by your senior year, you had a full ride. You were a two-time Division I qualifier, national qualifier, excuse me. And, just tearing it up, D1. And Steve, you were a two-time national qualifier. You wrestled two-time conference champion, Division III NCAA national finalist. Wrestled for JWU, which is an awesome program. Lonnie and Brian doing some great things over there. And you hold the record for the most takedowns in a single season at 272. And this one, most tech falls in the country your senior year. You coached at Sacred Heart, coached at Johnson & Wales University, and now you and your brother have opened up Iron Faith. Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You're making me sound a little better than maybe I am. I was watching that little highlight video get me fired up. I'm kind of thinking, like, man, I feel like I'm getting ready to wrestle again.
Yeah, you awesome. Feel
it. Yeah, my heart's all beating. I'm like, man, am I about to run out? Let's get it going.
And I didn't inflate you at all. I mean, those are your statistics, and there's much more I could say about you and your brother as well. But coming up, you're wrestling in high school, two-time state champ, freshman and senior year. Tell us a little bit about that and the prep that was going on. What did your senior year look like, especially? Because that's a real important year. Not that your freshman year isn't, because that's, also equally important. And that's why with COVID going on and these kids coming into high school and losing so far their freshman experience, and seniors worried that they're not even going to have a senior year at all. Why don't you talk a little bit about your freshman year, your excitement of being a state champ, and closing out your senior year as a state champ?
Yeah, of course. So my freshman year, Steven was a senior that year, and I think a lot of my success kind of came from having a brother that was at that point was bigger than me. So he definitely wasn't better than me, but he was bigger than me. but so he could beat me at that point. But so me and Steven were able to wrestle each other in the room my freshman year. and I was wrestling 2 practices every day essentially. But I've been doing 2 practices a day since I started wrestling, or since around 7th grade. Just because, like, I don't know, that's kind of what it ends up taking to do a lot of big things. You got to work a lot harder than everybody else. So I was wrestling with Steven at the high school, and then I wrestled at Mayo Quanchi after 7th grade all the way to pretty much till the end. My sophomore year in high school, I went up from 113 to 145, so that was kind of like weird. Did all right. I ended up getting injured the week before states and didn't wrestle at states my sophomore year. And then my junior year, I went the same weight class, 145, and I lost in the semifinals and took 6th. And I was kind of like, felt like I was plateauing and not really making the improvements that I was throughout middle school and into my freshman year in high school. So it's kind of weird. Another big changing moments with my senior year was Steven took a year off of Johnson and Wales, and he came back to coach me my senior year. So I was able to have him as a practice partner again, and at that time we were both the same weight. So that was a big thing that helped me jump from, taking 6th at states, almost going on a downward slope from freshman year to junior year, to making like a gigantic increase in my wrestling. And not only that, I also wrestled with John Clark, who was the assistant coach at Brown. He would come by Mayo Quanchi my junior year, like around right after states, and he would give private lessons to some of the kids that went there. But this was before he had a club or anything like that. This is when he was still, I think he either was still an assistant coach at Brown or just taking a break. But one of the times I was able to get a private in with him because the partner didn't really want to wrestle that day. So I was like, I'll be the other kid's partner. And actually, the kid I was partners with was Austin Cooley, who's wrestling at Pittsburgh right now, Division I school. He was, I think, a prep national champ, at least a finalist his junior year. But yeah, so that was big too. So Mayo Quanchi, my brother, my senior year, and Clark kind of like really helped me. I was always working hard, always doing the double practices, but then I started really getting a big increase in my technique, because at a certain point, it doesn't really matter how hard you go. You kind of max out on just going hard, and you got to start increasing your technical skills. So that was, I think, my senior year. I really just increased my technical skills. Won states, got OW, and then I took 4th in New England. Definitely didn't do as well as I wanted to, but it was a tough bracket. So all the 4 kids that top 4 placers all went Division I. So it was a really tough bracket for that year.
Wow.
But,
yeah.
And then I walked on to Drexel, and actually that was the only school I got into. And I remember going to the coach, like to have a meeting with him before and like pretending like I had other options, you know what I mean, to try and get some money out of him or something. And he was like, "No, we don't got anything." And I was like, "Well, this is the only school I got into, so whatever." I didn't tell him that. He didn't figure that out until later, but yeah, I walked on the team, trained really hard, continued to do as many practices as I can. I think one of the biggest attributes to my success also is being able to be coachable. I think no matter where I was at in my journey, whether I was starting out in middle school or going all the way to college, I found a coach that I trusted and that could pour into me. I remember all throughout middle school, all the way until my junior year, Serge was, Sensei Serge, we call him. I was able to kind of like, he bought into me, and it was like, it's partially the athlete's ability to get a coach to buy into you. Like, a coach isn't going to buy into you unless you are showing him that you want to get better. So I had a good ability to make coaches buy into me because I really wanted to win. And I not only just said I wanted to win, I would put in a lot of the extra work. So
yeah, and that shows. I mean, your coach, they see that, and you inspire them, as coaches to, get in there and give you more because you want more. You giving it all, your drive, your passion. In fact, Serge is on right now. He, left a message here to my boys, so he's excited to see you on here. Rhonda Lagasse is on, saying, "Hey, what's up, guys?" But yeah, the coaches in your life are really the ones that push you. And with Steven coming back and giving his all while he was still wrestling for Jay Wu and tearing stuff up over there with those guys, because that's a real tough program. All that makes the difference. Now, your senior year, you walked on to Drexel. It's a D1 school. Why not, Rick? Why not Jay Wu? Why not Division III? Was Division I like something that you had your heart set on, or?
yeah, it was something I had my heart set on. I wanted to that's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to do engineering, and I wanted to wrestle Division I. I knew I was good enough to be at the highest level, and that's what I wanted to do. It's just what I wanted to do. I don't know, from a young age. I don't know, for me, it was about pushing myself to the highest I could possibly be, and I know at the time I believed I was going to be a national champ, so a Division I national champ. So I don't want to limit myself, and that's kind of where I was.
Division two-time D1 national qualifier.
Yeah, shoot for first, and sometimes you don't make it, but I learned a lot on the way, and I think a lot of lessons I can bring to my athletes. But yeah, I like the point you were saying. It's really that was one of the biggest revelations I had in college. Is the coach is almost 50% of the success in the athletes. Like, the coach is so much more important than an athlete kind of thinks. Sometimes the athlete is kind of like, it's me, but I really realize if you can buy into your coach and you can trust them, then you'll go so much further. But if you're kind of like hesitant and you're not, and you don't really have that relationship, like just your athleticism or your hard work isn't really gonna bring you to where you want to be. Every like superstar has like a great relationship with their coach and is always humble and asking questions and trying to get better.
Right. And Steven, you come back, you're wrestling your brother, and you guys wrestled each other throughout, but you're, a few years older. So I'm sure you were giving it to your little brother there and beating him up. Now you come down from college. He's a senior in high school. Now you're the same weight. And, how'd that go? What'd that look like? I wish I was in the room.
It was awesome, man. I mean, I still beat him up. There was no, probably even worse, to be honest with you. As he got bigger, I had to basically show him, who's still the older brother. So it is what it is, But
well, that's the way it should be. I mean, by right, the little brother should never be able to be the big brother. But
I mean, it's just out of respect. Like, come on, buddy.
But I don't know. Ebed said he caught you a couple times.
Nothing on camera, so I don't know.
Great. Well, yep. So you come down.
So after I coached, after I wrestled with him his freshman year, my senior year, he won states, I won states. I went off to wrestle at Johnson Wales under Lonnie Morris, Brian Allen, Coach Gilly. And basically I had a point where I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be at that point in my college career. So I was going into my junior year. I knew Ebed had some goals of trying to go Division I. And he had good coaches. It's just a matter of he didn't really have all the right partners. And I kind of knew, like, hey, if I'm there, I'm going to be able to get him the right looks, the right coaching he needs. And also, it worked to my benefit because I was looking to take a redshirt year. And that's kind of a big thing in college. But the issue with Division III red shirts is that you can't practice with a team. So a lot of people will take a redshirt year and they'll essentially take a whole year off and do nothing at all. So I kind of did the opposite. I took a year off, but I thought I was training harder than everybody else who was in season. So I was coaching and I was training and basically wrestling with Ebed and helping him get to where he wanted to be, get into that Division I school, set him up to get to win another state title. He was chasing, a New England title and also a national title, which fell a little short of, but we essentially were on the same page. And that's where kind of what he was saying with being coachable and having the right coaches. Like, it was very easy for me to train with Ebed and coach him because we kind of had that bond and there was already that trust built. So we had been wrestling together forever. And if I was like, hey, in these positions, this is what you should be doing, or if I'm giving him advice to like get mentally prepared for a match, there wasn't really any pushback. He was bought in, and that's what you look for. At least that's what we're looking for as coaches. If a kid buys in to your program, buys into what you're saying, they're going to make gains a lot faster than everybody else. And I'm sure you've seen it. There's certain kids that you kind of like on your team. You're like, whether you make them a captain, you're kind of like, this is what we want the rest of the team to be like. Just when you get somebody coachable, it just makes such a big difference. And it's hard to even explain how big of a difference it is to the athletes because they don't really understand. They're in it. They can't really take a step back and see what's going on. They're just kind of going through it. So it's almost like some wisdom you get as you get older, just from having a lot of coaches.
Right, for sure. Now, taking a red shirt, you said D3, you can't practice with the team, you can't do JV matches, you can't do any of that stuff. You're essentially locked out of the wrestling room. Is that how it goes?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I can go and compete, but I can't do anything through the school league. So I can go to some open tournaments. I can train at like a club. So I was still training over at Mayo Quanchi. So I've been wrestling there a lot. I was wrestling with Ebed. And I think that was around the same time he was doing the lessons with John Clark, who is the head coach over at Sacred Heart. So I was involved with some of that stuff as well. So as much as I was coaching Ebed, I was also, I was still in like full training mode. I was training pretty hard.
How many years did you attend JWU?
5 years. So I wrestled for 2. I took a redshirt year, and then I wrestled for 2 more.
So you went right in, wrestled for the 2, then took the red shirt.
Yep.
And then went back to complete the 2. You could have come in though and taken the red shirt your freshman year, and then wrestled out 4.
Correct. 4. I didn't necessarily plan my college career out like that. It kind of just fell into place that way. Like I didn't plan, like when I went in, I wasn't like, I'm going to redshirt my junior year. I'm going to redshirt my freshman year. I just kind of came in and I was wrestling, and my plan was just to wrestle the 4 years. And it kind of was like things almost just fell into place with Ebed kind of needing someone to train with, but also me wanting to take another year to get some growth in my technique and put a little bit of muscle on so I could prepare to kind of push through my junior and senior year and try to do some big things.
Nice. Sounds good. Well said. All good points. Going out there, giving your all. That's what it takes. Listening to your coaches and just trying to leave it all on the mat every practice, every match, every tournament. That's what it takes. There's really no room for rest in wrestling. I mean, you're there. You got to be there 100%. You got to push. You got to put in the extra. I know the word burnout comes up a lot. We're going to get burnt out. And for me, when I was coming through, there was no such thing as being burnt out. I would practice 2 practices a day. Then I'd go to the track. Then I'd hit the gym and hit the weights. So I was essentially training in high school like I was training for the Olympics. I mean, really, it was just that intense. I don't know too many kids that were doing that at the time. And it showed in my numbers. I was 114-7 was my career in high school. And that was back when at that point, I had the most wins ever by a Rhode Island wrestler. Actually, me and I believe it was Jim Megadesian, who's also East Greenwich wrestler back in the day. I think he had 113 and I had 114 wins. So it shows. My senior year, I was 45-0 with 44 first period pins and 1 first period tech fall going into my state finals match. My state finals match my senior year, I ended up winning it, but it was the first time I went into the second period. And then New England's, as you guys know, anything can happen. I ended up losing the quarterfinals to Jarrel Elwell from Mount Anthony, who every time we wrestled, I'd win, he'd win. He'd win, I'd win, I'd win, I'd win, he'd win, he'd win, he'd win, I'd win. So it was just going back and forth. So I come back, I end up taking third because I get Jarrel Elwell in the consolation finals, and then I beat him. So he beat me in the quarters. I beat him for the consolation finals. And Jason Lanou won it that year, and also at the Outstanding Wrestler in the New Englands because, like you, we had just a stacked weight class.
Yeah.
And it's just any given day, you just work. I planned on being a 2-time New England champion. I took third both years and by a point, each time. So anything can happen. You got to have that edge. You just got to have that edge. You can't put it in the ref's hands, and you got to train and go nonstop. This is a tough sport, but we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what's going on across the country. We're going to talk about Iron Faith and the club and what you guys got going on and what your vision is for the future of Rhode Island wrestling. So we will be right back with Snapdown Wrestling, powered by and produced by FFBN Rhode Island. We'll be right back.
Yeah! Come on, Steve. That's 2. Oh! Yes, Steven. Double leg. Here he goes again. Come on, Steve.
Nice. I'm over here. I'm squirming in my chair. I'm like,
Yeah. I'm doing the same thing. I'm leaning like, oh.
So funny how you do that. Welcome back, everybody. Just looking at the highlight video with Ebed and Steve Jarrel, owners of Iron Faith Wrestling Club, and they coach youth, middle school level at Iron Faith, and they do that on Saturday from 10:30 to noon, and during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 5:30 to 6:30. Monday through Thursday, the high school and college is 6:30 to 8 p.m. And on Saturday, high school and college go 12:30 to 2 p.m. The coaches are Steven Jarrel, Ebed Jarrel, Nick, how do you say his last name?
Solois,
Caitlin Jarrel, who's a 5-time senior national judo champion, and Louis Felix. A lot of times you'll catch Coach Lonnie Morris, the head coach of Johnston and Wales University, or Jay Woo, as everybody knows them by, Jay Woo. And I have to thank Brian Allen, the assistant coach over there, for this shirt, this Jay Woo wrestling shirt. Thank you, Brian.
I like to say.
And I appreciate that. He sent me some stuff. But let's talk Iron Faith. I mean, what's going on over there, and what can we expect?
Yeah, so we kind of have a mission here with our club, and really our goal is essentially to provide the best coaching we can for the kids in Rhode Island. We're looking to make the state the best wrestling state in the country. And similar to what you said earlier, Tommy, about burning out. Like, it wasn't really, back in the day, it wasn't really a thing maybe. And it's like if you could train as hard as you want, as long as you're, if you're eating good enough and you're sleeping, you're fine, you're good to go. And we kind of, we believe kind of something similar. It's like, people are afraid to talk about what it really takes to get to the top level, and afraid to dream big enough or to think big enough. And our goal always was to be a national champ, be a state champ, New England champ, national champ. And as far as it goes for us coaching wise, our goals is to have the best club in the country, and to bring to make Rhode Island the best wrestling state in the country. And yeah, that's, some people might look at it and be like, man, you're crazy, but it's kind of like, those are the type of goals it takes to keep us going and to keep us working hard. And, if our goals are like that, we're not burning out. I mean, there's no, if you think big enough and you're passionate about it, and you know what your why is, your reasons for doing it, like, you're not going to burn out. There's no, we're on a mission here.
Right. Ebed, what's your mission over there? I know you guys are working really hard. You're going 5 days a week, and you talk about your mission statement there. You guys are obviously on the same page with that. Where do you see this program going? It's pretty new, right? It just started this year. Yeah,
last year we had just a couple months. We essentially had a youth USA season, and the second the high school season ended, that's when COVID hit. So we were open for like 3 months. COVID hit, shut down for pretty much a year, and now we're back open. We've been open for a couple months again this year.
Yeah. So I guess what I could add to that is one of the things, maybe a smaller kind of thing that we're really focusing on, is getting a high volume of coaches at our club. We want to make sure that every kid has, like almost like in a classroom setting at schools, you want to have like a high teacher to student ratio. That's something we want to focus on at Iron Faith, because we don't want to have kids just not getting the attention they need. So if we could, I don't even know, if we had a coach for every pair of wrestlers, that'd be awesome. So kind of as we grow and as we look to, reach our goals, we want to continue to grow our coaching staff and to fit the needs of our wrestlers. One thing I want to talk about too is like, in order to get that, I guess more of our focus goal is to have our club be the best club in the country, but also as a state, I think there needs to be that collaboration between the clubs that are there and more clubs that will probably end up starting up in the future, Yeah. And I think like the more clubs, the better. The more clubs, the better. It's going to create more competition, and it's going to create, it's going to make people go harder, like it's going to make us as a coaching staff work harder to make our club better than the other club, and that's just going to benefit our kids. Just like having multiple good high schools is going to, only do make the athletes better, than having maybe one powerhouse. It's nice to have a lot of people reaching. If you have 6 teams trying to get the state title, all those 6 teams are going to be working a lot harder than if they felt like that's out of their reach. So I think more clubs the better, and I think the collaboration that I'm looking for, and I think we're obviously close with Mayo Quanchi, that we're looking for is maybe the collaboration, the competition, and the tournaments. Pooling our resources together. If we have dual meets, if we're trying to take kids out to Fargo or like tournaments that are further away, like Tulsa, kind of, working together to get our kids out there. So, for example, if Mayo Quanchi is going out to Tulsa, and we're not able to get out there as a coaching staff, they're going to be able to take some of our guys with them and coach them out there. And same thing, like if Blackstone has a dual meet, and they're taking a dual meet team down to Virginia, and they can't fill some spots. I think it's up to our clubs to reach out to each other to fill those spots first. To focus on your club first, then your state. And you can kind of go then New England. We do want New England to continue to grow as well, but I think that's kind of where I see collaboration in the future. So I think like to reach our club goal, we're going to continue to grow our coaching staff and to, spend the time to focus on running the right practice and bringing. One of the things we're really trying to do is bring college guys into the room. We want to make Johnson Wales, Rick, Roger Williams, Brown. We want to make these schools the best colleges in the country. That's part of the goal, and we want to be a part of that. So,
And you can. Serge says, you're not crazy. Rhode Island kids can compete with anyone, anywhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's true.
It definitely starts with the belief first. It's like you have to believe you can do it long before things play out. Like nobody really goes to states and goes, oh, I just happened to win. Like you're going to states, you think you're going to win. You've been training to win. You plan on winning. And then, maybe you win, maybe you don't. And it's the same, it's the same all across the boards for states, for nationals. If you want to compete at the highest level, long before you're good enough to do it, you need to believe that you can do it. And that's kind of a big thing that we preach at our club. And I know some of the other clubs do as well in Rhode Island is just, you've got to have the faith. You've got to have the belief long before it happens. And I mean, I've had that situation. Like I didn't place at nationals until my senior year, and I ended up taking second. So my junior year, I went out to nationals, and I got smoked up. Like I barely won a match, and then the next year I come in, and I'm leading the country in takedowns and in tech falls, and I still fell short of my goal, but I ended up taking second. And if I didn't believe that I could do it, even when I was losing, I still was like, hey, I know what my goals are. I know that I can still make it happen. So it's important for coaches, and a lot of the coaches, that we know that we've been trained by, preach, having big dreams and having faith and belief long before it even happens.
Absolutely. And Serge weighs in again saying Mayo Quanchi kids believe they can beat anyone. And that's the attitude that you really have to have going out there. You can't worry about if this kid was a national champion or won worlds. None of that matters in that moment. So you have to believe that you can beat them. If you're out there and you're so in awe of the wrestler and you're looking, just go ask him for his autograph and forfeit the match, okay? And then hang up your wrestling shoes, because that's not the way we do things around here. You know what I mean? So that's just the way it is. You have to believe that you can beat anyone. But like you said, state championships, national championships don't happen. Along with believing you can beat anyone, you have to train harder than you think your opponent is out there training to get what? To get that edge. That's the edge, that extra lap, that extra 10 minutes in practice, that extra. And all those little things start to pile up on top of each other to give you the edge. And I was talking to Serge last week about the collaboration of clubs and having like a Team USA Rhode Island, a travel team like we used to have when I was wrestling back in the day. That's going to be important to have that, so you can fill some spots for these different duels and these different championships. And he's all for it. I'm all for it. I'm looking for that type of collaboration again. I think it's what the state needs as a whole. And you can certainly wear your respective uniforms. Iron Faith can wear Iron Faith, and Mayo can wear Mayo, and Blackstone can wear that. But as long as we're coming in and listed as Team Rhode Island, I think that's going to be important. And I think that's when we'll be a force to be reckoned with again. So that's where I stand on that. Let me take a real quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about tournaments that are coming up and what we can get into, and also talk about a few of the other things, some Plan B stuff in case we don't have a season, because we got to think on that level. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Snapdown Wrestling, SFBN, Rhode Island. We will be right back after this commercial. All right, now we're back. Welcome back to Snapdown Wrestling. We are here with Ebed and Stephen Jarrel, the Jarrel brothers. Son of Jarrel. You know who the son of Jarrel was?
Superman.
That's right. Son of Jarrel.
Oh, yeah.
Superman. And you guys are super guys, super wrestlers, super coaches. For those of you that don't know, just tuning in, Iron Faith Wrestling. These are the guys there putting it all together. They go over your schedule again one more time. They have weekly practices there. All right, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the youth and middle school at 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And for high school and college, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6:30 to 8 p.m. On Saturdays, the youth is 10:30 to noon. That's youth, meaning youth wrestlers as well as middle school. And the high school and college go from 12:30 to 2 p.m. All right. And Saturday is real nice because it's kind of user friendly and financially friendly for everybody, because it's $10 to drop in and, wrestle and get that session in. If that's what you want to do to stay in it, at least it's the least you can do. Everybody should be doing that.
Yeah, that's a great point. We kind of set it up that way a little bit. Like, we know not everyone is going to be 100% in right from the start. So, the more you wrestle, the more of a passion you build. And we didn't want to push people away who were interested in maybe just wrestling a little bit, whether it's just for fun or, hey, let me wrestle once a week. And realistically, when they come in and they wrestle once, we're kind of like, hey, listen, we let them know what it takes to get to where they want to get to. It's kind of it's our way to get people in the door who want to get a feel for our coaching style, who want to get a feel for our club, who maybe just, or maybe some kids who go to other clubs and they're looking for a Saturday practice. It's, it's a great opportunity for sure.
Absolutely. You got to stay in it, guys. You got to be doing something. I know it's been tough. I know with what we're dealing with right now with the COVID, it's been real tough to get the motivation to go into a wrestling room. There's a certain level of fear that's going on, but I've been there. I've walked into your wrestling room. You have all of the precautions in play. You taking the temperatures, you're doing the contact tracing, everybody's signing in, they're using fresh pens and sanitized pens, and the defense wipes are there and the defense foam. So everybody's really being extra cautious as far as the cleaning. Have you had any COVID outbreaks there?
We have not had really had any issues. I mean, for the most part, it's been no issue. Taking precautions on their own, aside from what we're recommending. So if a kid thinks he's been in contact with somebody, they stay home. No one's really putting anybody at risk for the most part.
Right, and that's important. But even talking with Serge last week, he's ramped up his cleaning and taking the precautions and safety precautions and making sure everybody's doing, cleaning themselves down. It's becoming a little more easier now because a lot of the schools are moving into testing the students, faculty, and staff on a weekly basis. So two things are going to happen there. One, the numbers are going to inflate initially because more people are testing. So you're going to see, a spike a little bit. But then you're going to see it go down because you're going to be able to catch it before you have any type of spreading, any type of outbreak, because you're going to be able to catch it a little bit early. So now we got that rapid test. You got the vaccine that is now going out, and Biden being now in office, he's looking to do 100 million vaccinations in 100 days. All right. Anybody's shooting for a goal. Is it doable? Quite possibly. If not, if he gets 90 million, so what? He's still pushing to get those vaccines out there. And once we get the front line, we get the nursing homes, we get the elderly, we get the high risk, and now we're testing in the school, and then the schools are going to be next with the teachers. This thing, to me, seems like it's going to be getting under control very quickly. And we need that to happen for the well-being of our athletes. We need to get these kids out there wrestling. So with all that in play, guys, take a Saturday, go check out Iron Faith, check out Mayo Kwanji, check out whatever club that's close to you. Got to get out there wrestling because guess what? The rest of the country is doing it, and we're falling behind. All right, and we cannot afford to do that. I do not want to afford to do that. So that being said, also, there's got to be a plan B in place. Now, I'm 100% confident that we are going to have a season, but it's a spring 2 season. That's what they're proposing to us now. It's spring 2. You know what spring 2 means?
Short.
Yeah, short and for sure. But do you know what date that means?
That's like right at end of school, end of the summer even, isn't that?
Well, no, April 26th.
Yeah.
All right. So
like a month and a half or something.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to have like maybe a 7-week season. I think we can go to like June 12th. Don't quote me on that. But certainly I don't see it being extended. We have seniors graduating on June 3rd. Yeah. So even if we go to the 12th or 13th, they may come back like baseball, sometimes has the playoffs and championships, spill over a little bit into summer. But I mean, at that point, these seniors, they're college bound. They're not that they wouldn't come back and do it because everybody's like really desperate and jonesing to wrestle right now. But so they would definitely come and finish their season, especially if the state championship was held after they had already had their last day of school as seniors. But I'm thinking, I mean, there should be a plan B in place somewhere along the line for, say, on the 24th. They say, well, it just seems all too risky for us, and it's unsafe. It's very, very high risk. Like, they don't even know what they're talking about, okay? For one, it's one of the safest sports. that you can be in because of contact tracing, and you're only with one person, and all of the precautions as far as sanitary measures that we're taking. So one, you don't know what you're talking about there. Two, plan B, if they do say that, we should be ready to already have our clubs in play with all the high schools, and all the high schools have wrestling with 2 or 3 or 4 different high schools to collaborate and come together a month before. So what are we supposed to do? The season starts 26, no practice. We're just supposed to jump on the mat and then 2 days later have a tournament, have a dual meet or a tri meet.
Yeah. That's crazy. Kids are going to get hurt. You know, it takes a little while to build your body up into it. I mean, everyone who wrestles knows, like, you come back, if you come back first practice in a long time and you're wrestling as hard as you can, you're jamming your fingers, you're falling weird. It's like, it takes some time to get into it, to get your body ready before you start wrestling in tournaments. It's
right. Sore muscles. Now, I would love to do this on a New England level. That we know is definitely canceled, which to me, they canceled that a little too prematurely. I think they canceled that in like June of 2020. Yeah. I'm like, well, why are you canceling the New England's in June? You don't even know what's going to happen 6 months from now. How can you cancel the New England? So I'm thinking like maybe some type of college coaches showcase all over New England. You contact every high school in New England and you have a college coaches showcase. Now, don't call it the New England Championship, or the Rhode Island Scholastically has nothing to do with it. Now,
Northeast Championship.
What?
Call it the Northeast NE
Championship, right? Still NE. How funny, but that's the level that we have to start thinking on, because now these kids don't even have a New England Championship. So fine, we have a New England Club Championship. We invite college coaches from all over New England, from all over the country, to come and check out this college coaches showcase of New England wrestlers. And that can be very easily done. So I'm not going to sit back and cross my fingers and say, oh, I hope. Let's make some things happen. And I'm going to tell you guys, it starts right now with getting into the clubs and starting with the club wrestling. That's just the way it is. You can't just, in my opinion, just hide underground anymore and wait. Things are in play. People are getting tested. Everyone's kind of tired of sitting back. And I'm hearing that the numbers are already starting to go down. So precautions are in place. They're wrestling all over the country. They're already doing it.
Yeah.
They're not having any major problems. They should look at those statistics. And since it's been going on, they should say, well, let's take a look. No, they're not going to take a look because they don't really care about us and wrestling. They care about the athletes and them getting out there. And they're trying to do their best to get athletes on fields and on courts and everything like that. But what about match? Do you really know?
Yeah.
Basketball is safe, passing the ball around to 30 different people, substitutes for an hour, as opposed to wrestling for 6 minutes or in some cases 20 seconds.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a great point. And a lot of people told me like I'm crazy for starting for opening up the club at the time we did, middle of pandemic, the worst possible time. We get the biggest possible facility we could get, and people are like, man, you're out of your mind. And it was almost like I didn't feel like I really had an option, because I knew what wrestling did for me and for me and my brother, and it's kind of like, I know a lot of people use wrestling as their outlet, and wrestling maybe helps them stay focused in school, and a lot of there's a lot of other things, and I kind of felt like, hey, it's my responsibility to get something going, whatever it looks like. I don't, it was almost like we'll just figure it out as it goes. But it was like I felt responsible because, we have all these kids that spent so much time wrestling, and now they're all of a sudden doing nothing, sit at home all day, do school online all day. It's like they don't get to talk to anybody. They sit by themselves, and then I get people messaging me and being like, my kid's like losing his mind because he can't do anything. So it kind of, I felt like it was what I was supposed to do. What we were supposed to do is, open and run the club and run it the best we can during the pandemic, and kind of keep chugging along. And if needed, we pause. If not, we keep going. And just kind of play it week by week, day by day, and do the most we can for the kids.
Right. Well, enough is enough. All right. That's what I'm saying right now. Maybe not right this second, maybe not tomorrow or this weekend, but the vaccine's going out. and the high risk people getting vaccines, because I'm not hot listing. It's not like, oh, it's all about wrestling. So as long as we can wrestle, who cares who dies in the process? Because this is a serious thing and people are dying. So once the at risk are vaccinated, it should be fine. Once people are not going to die from it in masses, like what's been happening, and which is why we're in this situation, then let them play. All right. Yeah. Open it up. Start encouraging it. Get those frontline people vaccinated, get the elderly, get the nursing homes, make sure that's all happening. But once that does, there's no excuses. We got to open up. We got to go. We got to wrestle. We got to get these kids off the couch and back on the mats. Now, senior year, there's guys that are seniors this year. I know my guys, Chris Gomez, Tyler Stevenson. I mean, these are kids that work thousands of hours among the other seniors that are going to be graduating that worked for the senior year. Corey Grifko. I mean, look at him. I mean, he's got Division I written all over him, or Division III national champion for sure. Yeah. He's definitely, in that mold. He's got it all. He's got the strength. He's got the talent. He's got the speed. He's got the balance. He's got the agility. He's got it all. Someone like him to lose this senior year, it's terrible. Ebed, how do you think if you lost your senior year, how would that have affected your decisions and you going to a Division I school? I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely would have been tough. I think what if I was in the same situation right now, I would do exactly what you're kind of suggesting. I would still be training at a club, and I would be looking for other opportunities to compete, and get better. I think there are still some options that I guess we're talking about a little bit later, but yeah, it would definitely be very difficult to not have a high school season. But I definitely suggest anybody that's in that situation where they're a senior, they're looking to maybe wrestle in college, or they just want to, especially if you're looking to wrestle in college, like your career doesn't end now. It ends 5 or 4 years from now, So the training is still now. It's not like it's hard for people to think past what they're in right now. Like you have youth wrestlers who like winning a state title in 4th grade is everything. You know what I mean? But it's not really anything when you look at the further picture. So, for you guys that are seniors, really try and especially if you're going to college, try and keep your spirits up and focus on, continuing to train and looking ahead. And again, we do plan on having the season. So keep your hopes up that you're going to have a season. And I really liked your idea, Tommy, about having that showcase for New England. And I think that's actually just you saying that. I think it's probably going to, I think we'll make, like, the clubs will make it happen. I already can see, I'm sure, people would love to have that happen. And, we got plenty of college contacts that we can get together pretty quickly to come check out some wrestling. So
that'd be great. I'm banking on it. I'm counting on it. And nowadays with social media, I mean, we could, contact every high school coach in New England and talk about this. And, as long as we're not breaking any rules, then it should go on. And I think it's a great idea. I was thinking about it earlier. I was talking to even Coach Felix. We were talking about this, and it makes sense, and it could be very exciting and give these guys a shot. Not only even better, more so than the New England's, it becomes an actual college coaches showcase, to where now you just bring in all these college coaches to check out these kids. Now they even have a better shot of being seen. And of course, going with a club to these other tournaments, because that's where it's at. I mean, if you're in high school and, you would want to win a New England championship, that's your goal. Being a Rhode Island wrestler, smallest state, even though we have great kids here, and, if you win a New England championship, that's what's going to turn heads. If you go out to Virginia or to Fargo or to the Super 32 or Tulsa Nationals, and you're, placing there, or you're, a finalist there, that's what's going to turn heads. That's what's going to get you seen. That's what's going to get colleges trying to contact you saying, hey, come here. Now, scholarships are few and far between, in this sport. But if you're good enough, yeah, you'll get a full ride, or, like your senior year, you'll get a full scholarship, or, junior year will come into play. But you got to get out there. You can't sit back and just hope and pray or lose hope. Some of these guys are losing hope, and we're here to tell you, don't lose hope. All right. Keep your spirits up, keep your head up. Let's start wrestling. Let's go Team Rhode Island, Team USA.
Yeah, absolutely. And like what you mentioned earlier, Tommy, about the other states training, like people all over the country are wrestling and training, and there's a college season for some people, and it's like, now's the time to double down on your training, not to pull back. When everyone else pulls back, now's the time to double down and to really dive in deep and take your training to the next level. Because when New England's does come around, because it probably will, you'll be able to see who's been training, under the radar, who's been putting the work in. It's going to show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll see it easy. It's like a sore thumb. I mean, you'll see it. You'll be like, wow, he never stopped wrestling. He's been going, club or, out of state or to all these different national tournaments and qualifiers and all that. Yeah, you'll see, as opposed to the person who's practiced for 1 week and then now he's out there wrestling because he's got 4 weeks left in his high school season, which is going to really consist of like 5 tri-meets on a Saturday and hopefully a state championship tournament, which I think that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. And that's best case scenario. And you know what? Fine. I'll take it. I'll take that. And a lot of these guys will take it too, but we got to do something beforehand. You can't just start practicing on the 26th and think like, okay, let's have a great season, because I hate to tell you that you go up against somebody from Florida or from Virginia or from Oklahoma who's been wrestling, you're going to see the difference. You're just not going to be able to compete no matter how good you are. And if you're not training, you're just not. He's going to have the edge. You're not. We talked about the edge. Now let's talk about some tournaments, since I'm bouncing all over the country. What do you guys have lined up? What tournaments are you looking at? Serge talked to me about some tournaments last week that he was thinking about. What do you got?
All right. So first I want to talk about what we got going on locally. They're not per se tournaments, but what we're putting together. We're trying to get, all the clubs to be a part of this. At Mayo Quanchi already did this, but essentially we're just running practice matches with kids around the state, or, maybe in Mass, kind of local kids, where we're going to just have, some college guys be refs, and you're just going to be able to wrestle different kids from different clubs. So if you're a kid in the local area, we'll go high school first. So if you're a high school kid in the local area, the 30th. So this Saturday, if you're a high school kid who wants to get some practice matches in, like round robin style, you get like around 4 matches. Come by Iron Faith, 11 o'clock this Saturday. The next local thing we have going on is the 13th of February is going to be the exact same thing, but for middle school and youth. So if you're just looking to get some matches with kids you haven't wrestled with before, you don't want to travel too far, we're doing the same thing there. And then the last local thing is the following weekend. Again, we're going to be trying to continue to do these until there's a season, or until we can have the USA season start. So the next weekend, February 19th and 20th, we're going to have, so February 19th, we're going to have high school again at Iron Faith. And February 20th, Mayo Quanchi will be doing the same thing for middle school and youth. We'll make an announcement for those later on. But for now, if you're a high school kid this Saturday, come by, get some matches. And if you're a middle school or youth, February 13th. For people who are looking to travel a little bit more, this Saturday, I'm taking a middle school and a youth team down with some kids from throughout the state, just like we were preaching earlier about trying to collaborate with different clubs. Got mostly it's mostly Mayo Quanchi kids in the middle school team. For the youth team, Mario from Burrowville put together a team. He's been a great help, he's a great ambassador for the sport in wrestling. In Rhode Island, because he's able to kind of be that non-biased person who can kind of bring people together, which I really like. So Mario is going to be bringing down a youth team down to Pennsylvania. It's called the Winter Classic. I guess we do have some spots to fill. So if you're listening in now or tomorrow and you're a middle school kid, you want to come to this tournament, we are trying to fill 101 pounds, and we're trying to fill 175. I think that's it for that. But so that's a little further away. We also have coming up is the high school. It is a high school showcase, but it's not specifically for New England like we were talking about with Tommy a little earlier. But it's going to be in Pennsylvania, March 12th to the 14th. It's going to be I think it's called the regional showcase, and they're going to have a national one. So essentially the Northeast region, kind of more down to Pennsylvania, is going to have a tournament, and college coaches will be there. But it's not really specifically for New England. It's for that broader.
Is that the high school national recruiting showcase? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be March 12th to 14th. And that's if you're a junior, you haven't found your college yet, you want to try it out, I definitely suggest going down there. And then another kind of distant one that actually just kind of they do it, I think every 2 weeks they do it. I went down about a month ago when I took one kid down there, Caden. He did well. He wrestled Saturday and Sunday, 2 different tournaments in PA. They're called SEPA tournaments, SEPA tournaments. They're the next one I guess coming up is they have one this 30th and they have one the 13th, but this is all age groups. So they're running those tournaments and they max out at 100 people. So if you're interested in getting a tournament that's pretty decent competition, maybe not the national level, but you'll have some kids from Pennsylvania, and you'll have some kids from New England going to those. Look up SEPA, SEPA wrestling tournaments. There's one the 30th. There's one the 13th of February, and they're going to continue to do those. They've been doing those every weekend for the past month and a half. They've been running these tournaments. They're around the Philadelphia area, so about 5 hours from Rhode Island, or 4.5 hours from Rhode Island. So that's the kind of range for that. And yeah, just plug what again. If you're not already in a club, or just ask your club coach, hey, we're looking for a tournament, and they'll be able to guide you. But those are the things that we're doing. Again, if you're local, we have these local things coming up. They're just gonna be practice matches with kids maybe you haven't been practicing with in the room. And then if you're looking to get stuff a little further away, we have that high school recruiting showcase and the SEPA tournaments. And there's plenty more, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, there are. That's quite a few, and that's encouraging. There's other ones I think that we're probably going to be going to, as well as the USAW Folk Style Nationals. That's in Cedar Falls, Iowa. That's April 1st through the 3rd. That's also another real nice one to catch. But guys, we got to be ready for these things. So hopefully all this activity and all that's going on for the viewers that are watching now and the ones that will see it throughout the week, because we get thousands of views. So a lot of people are going to see this, that you write this stuff down and you start getting excited, because these are the things that are going to happen. These are the things that are going to take you out of the realm of Rhode Island and New England even. This is what Rhode Island wrestling has been looking for, and I'm glad to be a part of it and glad to be able to broadcast it to everybody so that everybody can get the information that they need at their fingertips with some great coaches and a great future for Rhode Island wrestling.
Yeah. for sure. And yeah, if you have any questions about the local matches that us and Mayo Quantico are running, just let us know. It's going to be pretty laid back, but allow your kids to get some different matches in. And if you're looking to go to these further tournaments, definitely think a little bit more ahead on those. You know, you're going to have to find a hotel. You may or may not have to quarantine when you get back. You got to see what your school says about that. So you got to think a little bit more if you're deciding to travel. If you don't want to travel, we got that option for you. So
good point, Ebed. The local stuff is definitely a good place to start, and it's still going to be great competition. There's going to be some great matches. You're going to get 3-4 matches, and it's something that you should definitely be excited about, and something that you should want to participate in, especially with coaches like what we have, and especially with the testing that is going on within schools right now. Rapid test, very non-invasive. It's just something we can do at the scales, by the way. The rapid test right at the scale, 15 minutes before they go out there. Done in 15 minutes. We don't wrestle for an hour anyway. So these are things that the governor's office and the health department should be looking at as well, and saying, hey, you know what? That's right. We can do that. And we can make it safe and have these, and know for a fact that these wrestlers that are out there are negative.
Yeah.
As far as 15 minutes ago. So real exciting. And real quick, there's a camp. You know about that, Steve Mako Wrestling.
Yeah, February 6th.
February 5th through the 7th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have his stats? Do you have his statistics on who he is at your fingertips right now?
So he wrestled for Iowa national champ. He's one of the coaches in Florida for
American Top Team or something like that, like an MMA, big time MMA gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 2008 Olympian, 4-time NCAA national finalist, and 2-time champion. This guy is no joke.
For sure.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
That's going to be hosted by Mayo Quantico. Cost of that camp is $200. All right, so definitely something that you're going to want to look into. I'm going to have that posted along with some of the other things that we talked about on our Facebook group, the Rhode Island High School wrestling page. It's Rhode Island High School Wrestling. Go to that. You'll see the Rhode Island flag there, the Hope Rhode Island anchor, and you'll be able to see some of the stuff that we have posted. So I'm going to post that tonight after we get off, at least that, and some of the other tournaments that we've been talking about. But again, if you want to say the local tournaments one more time.
Yeah, of course. So the local ones we have are this Saturday if you're in high school, 11 o'clock at Iron Faith. If you're in middle school or youth, February 13th at 11 o'clock at Iron Faith. And then we haven't announced it yet, but we do plan on doing one the 19th for high school at Iron Faith, February 19th. And at Mayo Quantico, the 20th will be middle school and youth. We try to keep that away from the camp that they're running, so that people can have the opportunity to go and learn from Mako. And then, they actually just ran Mayo Quantico just had a dual meet or a tri meet with Smitty's Barn and New England Gold. So, definitely, look into, find some local if you can. Definitely good opportunity.
Nice. Excellent. All good stuff. Really good information. Nice to know that we have this out there and at our fingertips. And all we can say is get out there, just get out there, because the opportunities are there. It's happening all over the country. So now I think would be a good time for everybody to really start moving and getting things moving. You guys have been great. I think that's going to wrap it up for this segment of Snapdown Wrestling. And I'd like to thank you guys for coming on the show, Stephen, Ebed, Jarrel, and for everything that you've done for the sport and how you're giving back now. and where we're going with all of this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
No problem. It's my pleasure. And guys, tune in every Monday night to Snapdown Wrestling with Tommy Lynch, powered by Sports Fanbase Network, Rhode Island. Everybody be safe, do what you can, and have a great night. We'll see you next time on Snapdown Wrestling.